Tov. So yesterday, we talked about Malchuyos. And we saw that Tanaim had a machlekes, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, from what pasuk signifies Malchus of Hashem. And Rav Dessler explained to us that in the concept of fearing God, there are two ways to look at it. One way is that the fear of God postpones the desires that you have. So let's say you have a desire to eat ice cream after you eat a steak. Okay? But you can push that desire away so that you could serve Hashem because of your fear of God. There's another madrega that it's not only that you are pushing aside your desire, it's there, but you're in full control over it, Michael. But that you got rid of it altogether. You don't have the desire to do a particular sin. So, stealing, right? Is that a sin or not? Yes? Is that allowed, Moses? Not allowed. What about stealing time? Is that allowed? No. What if stealing from yeshiva, is that allowed? No. Avi's like, well, what do you mean by that, Rabbi? For example, if we make an agreement, for example, that you have to learn 6 to 7 hours a day if you're staying in yeshiva, and then you don't, aren't you stealing? Yeah. Stealing. Did you have to do tshuva on it? Absolutely. Will we forgive you? I don't think so. Okay. Yes?
How does someone do mechila on that?
Mechila? First of all, the question is who should be moichel? So on the tzad, let's say you come to me and say, Rabbi, I know I haven't been keeping up with what I really should be doing. I've been slacking off, laying in bed, pretending to be sick. 2 whole days. I was fine. The last day I was just on the phone all day. Okay, so then, we figure out, right, the tuition is $2,000 a month. So 30 days you divide to figure out what the tuition is for that day, right? And so we say we have to double it. Right, because to learn 6 to 7 hours, you have to pay $2,000 a month. That's the agreement. You pay, you get to live here, and you have to learn. If you don't learn, you still have to pay. But we're out 6 to 7 hours that we were thinking we're getting out of you. So then you have to pay us back for the 6 to 7 hours. So, just an idea. The point is that a lot of our desires involve something called midot. Midot are moral characteristics. If we lived among people who had good midot, then you wouldn't need to lock your doors. You wouldn't need to carry all your stuff with you everywhere. You could trust that no one would steal from you. Right? You wouldn't have to go search for your shampoo because somebody borrowed it. Borrowing without permission is called gezel. Also, not my definition. So the Gemara says. Borrowing without permission is a gazlan. Shoel elo reshus gazlanu. And so that's why Jewish people carry kangaroos on Yom Kippur. Because without the kangaroos, Jeremy, nothing will work.
Thought we ate them.
What?
Thought we ate the kangaroo.
No, we don't eat kangaroos. It's not kosher. Said it? You look sad today, Saxton. Is there a way I could cheer you up? I mean, I don't do hugs.
Shidduch.
What?
Get him a shidduch.
Get him a shidduch? No, he's not ready for shidduch. His shidduch is sitting in her room on the corner of her bed and crying her eyes out that her husband should be a tzaddik. And he's got a few more months to become the tzaddik. He's not going anywhere. She doesn't want him this way, and he knows that he wants to get a little bit longer. A little bit longer. And therefore, we don't rely on people who don't bring the microphones on time to shir. Now you know why. Right?
That's right.
What are we supposed to do? We did scramble to figure out what to do. And we decided to go with this one, the old one. So, the greatest battle that we have in our self-improvement is to work on our midot. Some of us have issues with anger. Anger is connected to arrogance. People get angry because things don't go their way. As if, what? Everything should go their way. Why? You're not God. And people get really angry. Don't. This chair. You can't sit on those pillows. Those pillows are holy pillows. One of the places where people manifest their anger is when they're driving. Driving, as you could see the midot that people have, how much patience they have, if they think the road is theirs, that if somebody's driving slow, right, so you pass them, but when you pass them, you don't just drive, you look around going, and then as soon as you're over, you're, right? You ever pass somebody whose blinker's always on, and you pass them and you put your blinker on? No, but man. Those are midot that we have to work on. It's what?
It's hard.
It's hard.
Especially when they can't drive.
That's why anger comes from arrogance. If you understand that the Kadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, and if this is what's supposed to be, that's what's supposed to be. Some people don't get along with roommates. I want this, I want that, too much this, too much that. That's also an opportunity to work on your midot. Why? Because Shaya, if you're going to live with a woman, you're going to have to change the way that you see things. She's going to want, it's too cold. It's too cold. It's this, it's that. And so, living in yeshiva, 3 guys in a room, is actually a good training ground for you. You're learning to be mevatel yourself to the will of others. The greatest example of bitul of your desires is when you have kids. They decide they don't want to sleep in the middle of the night because they're babies. You're done. And what are you going to do? Get mad at them? Go to sleep! Shut up! Woo! The cop comes, you're gone. Child services, and now you got a new roommate. Chaz v'shalom. But children help you be mevatel your will. And so, part of what Rav Dessler is talking about, without saying explicitly, is that we have Yirat Shamayim also helps us work on our midot. It's not only on mitzvot, but also to have good midot. So that if the rabbi tells you to be quiet because you're making too much noise, it's done. When people are told what to do, we have a natural tendency to rebel. Somebody tells you, go get me a glass of water. Immediately you're like, don't tell me what to do. But if you think about it, okay, so the person is not speaking the way he's supposed to speak. Okay, he should be really asking. Okay. But here's your water. Come on. What am I going to do? Educate everybody? You're going to get in a fight with everybody? And in Israel, one of the things is that people don't respect personal space. There's no such thing as personal space. So what are you going to do? Start telling people, hey, 6 feet back? Start walking around with pepper spray? No. What? Okay. Or you just adapt. And just say, okay, this is how it is here. People bump into you and they don't say, excuse me. Just a given. Now, you think like, hey, you can't bump into me. Who do you think you are? But then think of that moment. Who do you think you are? That you're not bumped worthy. No one is worthy of bumping you. So they bumped you. No, okay. Did your arm break? Well, no. Then what happened? Well, no. Don't make a big deal out of it. So part of our avoida, using Yirat Shamayim, is to improve our midot. And that's the hardest thing to do. It's a lot easier to put on tefillin every day than to change bad moral character. That's much, much harder. If you have issues, for example, with leitzonos, you make fun of everything. There's some situations, some topics that probably is not appropriate to make fun of. Some people are sensitive, and you make the wrong joke, they get hurt. You have to work on that. I'm just giving examples from whatever Eitan told me he's suffering.
I told you that.
You did? Good. Should have been here yesterday if you want to talk about your confidence.
I heard more than enough.
Okay. And then we started talking about Ahava, serving Hashem from love. And if we serve Hashem from love, then there's no feeling of being forced. There's no feeling of necessity, but rather all of our desires simply are removed because we love Hashem and we don't want to do those things. It's a much higher madrega of serving Hashem, of avodas Hashem. And so when we say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, we understand that whenever we have a will, we have a desire, it essentially weakens our belief in the unity of God. If you truly believe there is one God and one unity, that is the only will that there is. Our will is non-existent compared to Hashem. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, he says that the main part of our avodah on Rosh Hashanah is to feel and to emphasize that we are controlling our will and make it subservient to Hashem. I have a will, I have things that I want, I won't do them because I accept God as my king. Yeah, I want to stay in bed. Yeah. I want to be in my own room. I don't want a roommate. Shkoyach. But it doesn't work that way. I want to get married. Good, but she doesn't want to. What are you going to do now? Force it. Just like Gittin. You divorce your Baal Korach, you marry your Baal Korach. That's not what it says. Details. But according to Rabbi Yossi, that we paskin like him, we paskin like Rabbi Yossi, that the whole avodah of Rosh Hashanah is where we are mevatel, we cancel our will because of our love of Hashem. That it's not that feeling of having to force ourselves to serve God, thereby making us subservient. Rabbi Yossi says, no, it's coming from the source of Ava. That's the avodah. And therefore we have to work towards that goal. So that when we say Hamelech, when we are davening on Rosh Hashanah, we have the right mindset of what we're saying to Hashem. And it's not only what we're saying, it needs to be also how we behave. That is, if we are at the Madrega that Rabbi Yossi is telling us, then it should not only be what we're thinking and what we're saying, but it should also reflect in the way that what we're doing. Which means when we do a mitzvah, for example, Birkat Mazon, so we see it, we say it with full kavanah, because we love Hashem and we want to do His will, and He told us that this is what we need to do. And so Birkat Mazon has tremendous power now. It's an expression of love between me and my beloved, which is the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That is, if you have your right attitude, right thought, and right speech on Rosh Hashanah. So that after Rosh Hashanah, when you're coming to put on tefillin, it's not just, but you understand what you're doing here. I'm putting on tefillin because Hashem commanded me, so I'm doing what He told me because I love Hashem. I'm serving out of ahava. And therefore the kavanah, the intention, the whole being that I'm doing this comes from a different place than I really don't want to put this piece of box of leather, but I'll do it anyway. Has a different feel. There's a different feel if you're coming to class because you want to, because it helps you connect to Hashem, and that you know that this is what Hashem wants. Then, if you're coming because you don't want me to catch you and say, hey, where were you? Where were you? What?
It's laundry day.
Oh, Bittul Torah, huh?
Halacha, Rabbi.
Is halacha to be mevatel Torah?
Oh, no, just do laundry on Thursday.
It is, as the Shulchan Aruch says, correct. But that was the time when they didn't have washer and dryers. The question is it today, what's the issue? Can you do laundry when you know that it could be done within 20 minutes? But let's say on the tzad that you want to fulfill and you are in every fulfillment of halacha, you go by the book. Then you should know you do laundry bein asdarim, between 1 and 3. And not tov. So, we understand Malchuyot, at least on one level. What about Zichronot? There are different levels of memory. Dessler says there's one level that there's something that is etched in your memory, something you remember. Okay, like going to the beach the first time, or I don't know, whatever example you want to think of. First time, your dad slapped you. Remember that? No? Second time you remember. First time you passed out. Couldn't believe it. Like, I remember the first time I had to eat calf brains. Like, I can't forget it.
Kosher?
Yes. No, it's treif.
Calf brains?
Yeah.
What's that?
What's what?
Calf's brains?
Yes.
What is that?
What do you think it is? You know what a calf is?
Baby sheep.
Close, but no.
Baby cow.
Baby calf.
Okay.
And it has a brain.
That's meat, yeah.
And you take the calf brain and you dip it in egg, then in breadcrumbs, and then you fry it.
Wow. Sounds nice.
You have no idea how gross it is.
Freeze it first, right?
Freeze. What are you talking about?
If the brain's mushy, it doesn't cook right, right?
Anyway, the point is, there's some things that are etched in your memory. Whatever it is. We all have memory. We're not doing I have a memory. There's some things that you remember as if it's happening right now. Like you can, when you think about it, you're actually living that moment. Like when I interviewed you to accept you to Mechina. That should be. You remember, huh?
Exactly where it was.
Yeah, I remember what you were wearing. I couldn't believe it. Pink? So, when we say to Hashem, Zechor, remember, Schirat Hashem for sure has to mean that it is Pchinat on the level of living mamish at that moment. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have time. There isn't present, past, or future. It's all alive now. And so, we are saying that we are standing before you. That's what it says in the Tefillah. And we say, Zechor kol hayetzur lefanecha ba. Remember that every creature is standing before you. Now. And we say, remember Akedat Yitzchak. So Hashem is living the Akedah at that exact instant. And so, it's Avraham is standing over his son, who's bound on a mizbeach, and he's raising the knife. And he sees all of the actions that were done by human beings from the point of creation all the way to where we're standing before him. And I also am standing before him with every sin that I sinned right in front. For us, whatever it is, for us the sins are on the back, on the past. We're at Ohr Somayach, right? The Happy Light Institute. But for the Kadosh Baruch Hu, he's watching me sin right now while I'm standing and praying to him. And what are we asking? Are we looking at ourselves like Avraham Avinu? Or do we see ourselves like Lot? Now, what's the idea of Lot and Avraham? Shaya. Lot did not want to stay with Avraham Avinu because he felt that his blemishes, his imperfections, are too visible when he's by Avraham Avinu. If he goes to another environment where people are Rashoim, he is the great tzaddik. He was a tzaddik. But compared to what background? What's the background that you're comparing? And you're standing on Rosh Hashanah, and Rav Dessler says you have a choice which background you want. You want the background of Avraham Avinu with the Mesirut Nefesh of the Akedah and all of that? Or do you want the other side of Lot, who's saying, and do we want to be included in the Mesirut Nefesh that Avraham and Yitzchak had, and therefore that will be a schus for us? Or do we say, nah. There's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. It says it's better to be a tail of lions than the head of foxes. You're better off always being around people who are more advanced than you in your learning, more observant, more righteous, more meritorious, than to be with a crowd where you are the head of the band. That's hard. That's tough avoida. Nobody wants to be the bottom. Everybody wants to rise to the top. And so if a person rises to the top and among foxes, people who are wily, okay, so you're the head of the foxes. But look who you're leading. Lot was the best. Where? Zdom v'Amorah. And Sodom and Gomorrah, this guy was the top notch. Great tzaddik. Tzaddik? Go to Abraham. He didn't like it. Why? Because he saw that he's not at that level. But afuch. The whole point is to be at that level. To being pushed, encouraged, challenged. Is it easy? No. When you make a switch, for example, in Mechina from one Gemara shir to another, it's a big jump. All of a sudden, the speed is a little different, the style is a little different, the more material, the more is demanded of you. And in the beginning, it's hard. Because you were in the top shir, you were the best. Now all of a sudden, you come to a shir, you don't know what's going on. That's a challenge. That's a challenge. And so on Rosh Hashanah, when we stand before Hashem and we are in Zichrono, and we are going through, remember this, remember this. That's the backdrop that we are putting to Hashem when we are talking about ourselves. The backdrop of great tzaddikim. And we should think that we want to be part of that. Yes, I know, Hashem, that you're seeing all my sins in front of you. Acting right now. But I'm over here. That's not where I want to be. I want to be here. And the zichronot should be l'schus, for my merit and not for my downfall. Shofar. Shofarot is the third part. Shofar is what triggers Hashem, the concept of remember, zachor. Shofar. It creates the zichronot. And if you hear a good Baal Tokea, the sound of the shofar penetrates your whole body. It's a very interesting, has a very interesting effect. The sound penetrates. Rav Sadia Gaon wrote 10 different kavanot, intentions for mitzvah shofar. 10 different ones. One is that through the shofar we remember the Akedah of Yitzchak, that he wanted, was willing to give up his life for Hashem. And we should also be prepared to give up everything for Kiddush Hashem. And also, so according to this, that through the shofar, it should get us to Mesirut Nefesh. And if you're really doing something with Mesirut Nefesh, you're giving it all. And ask yourself, are you a Jew by Mesirut Nefesh right now, or are you just coasting? What do you say, Moshe? Coasting or Mesirut Nefesh? It says in the Zohar, Ashrei Ha'am Yodei Torah. Happy are the people who know Torah. Which is very strange. Why know? It should be here. There's no mitzvah to know. What does that mean? To know Torah. Says the Zohar, Lo ktiv shomei o tokei ela yodei. That what? Inun de yodin rosa de Torah. It doesn't say, happy are those who are hearing the shofar or blowing the shofar. Happy are those who know the secret of what the shofar does. And so the whole mystery of the shofar is the effect it has on you, on your heart, to get to the level of Mesirut Nefesh. That's what you need to know. And then through that, yikrivun lemeihar beor panav de kuchabrichu. They will come closer to you, to your divine light, which is the Or HaGanuz, the hidden light of Ma'aseh Bereshis. It is through the shofar that we can connect to Hashem, to the original, pure, divine light. And how's that? Through the thought of Mesirut Nefesh. Mencha.